Doing these things is going to cost you time, energy, and most importantly, money. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Bill Olson, your favorite YouTubing Charleston realtor. Today, yes, we're talking about all the mistakes people make when building a home here in Charleston, or really anywhere. Now, here in Charleston, a third of our active homes for sale on the market are new construction. That's close to 900 homes right now. And I predict this is only going to go up as the market changes more and builder sentiment gets better. Having sold many new construction homes over the years, I have seen people make some mistakes, from the little things that are just annoying to some bigger mistakes that could cause major headaches down the road. So let's get right into this list. And number one is picking the wrong floor plan. The first thing you really want to look at the floor plan is how functional is it for your style of living? Now, what are you looking for in a home and what are you not looking for in a home? Are you just going because it has the most space for the cheapest price? Now, I want to use my last home as an example. Now, we didn't build that home, we bought it resale, but someone built it a few years before we bought it, and some choices were definitely made. And the floor plan that they picked, dining room was all the way through the living room. So, and my mother-in-law let us know every time she came over how far away the dining room was, but it's something I never really thought of until it was brought up to me that that's not super functional if you use your dining room a lot. So while you're looking at these floor plans and you're touring these homes, don't get too distracted by all the pretty design and everything. Make sure that the flow and the functionality is there, because once this home is built, you have to live in it and you have to deal with how it is laid out. Next, we have something super important as well, and that is the location. Now, location, we're gonna break this down into two parts. Now, the first, of course, is the location of the neighborhood within Charleston. I make a lot of videos on my channel about the pros and cons of living in different areas, because most of my people are probably just like you and are relocating from somewhere else, and they're trying to figure out where they want to move, not just what that floor plan in that neighborhood is going to be. So you do need to do your research to make sure that you move into an area that fits your needs and your lifestyle. But then the second part of this that a lot of people don't really look at is where within the neighborhood they're building that home. One thing you need to think about is the sunlight. When are you going to be getting your sun? Is it going to be morning sun, afternoon sun? Are you going to get no daylight afternoon sun, which means you're going to get home and your house is going to be completely dark and it's going to be like living in a cave. Now, if you're a gardener, you want to make sure that your plants are going to get enough sun during the day, and if you want to put a pool in, then make sure that you're going to get enough sun on that pool to warm that water up, because if that pool is in the shade for most of the day, you're going to be doing polar plunges and ice baths year round. And another thing to think about when you're building within a new neighborhood is, where is the new construction going to be after your home is built? Where are those new phases? Once your home is built, is that phase done and you're not going to have to deal with construction traffic or banging hammers all day? Or are you going to be right in the middle of it, and after you move in, they're going to build a house to the left and to the right of you, and you're going to have to deal with a construction site for about 7 to 12 months. And one thing people don't realize about these construction sites is they leave nails in the road all the time. I have gotten on a first name basis with my mechanic for one reason only, and that is I have gone in and had holes patched in my tires because of nails more often than I care to admit. And he will even joke around with me and say, "Well, you touring new construction again, Bill?" I'm like, "Yes, I got another nail in my tire." So that's another thing to consider. If you're constantly driving through a construction site, you're probably going to get some nails in your tires. All right, let's keep going on this list, but make sure that you stick around until the end, because the last thing could save you a ton of money. So next, we're gonna talk about the upgrades in the home, and this really comes down to possible appraisal issues. Now, a big piece of advice here is when you first walk into that design center appointment, you need to give that design consultant your budget if they don't ask for it first. This is the budget that you want to stick to and not go over. Because one thing that I see occasionally is people go in there and they just start making selections that they love, and it's almost like they are not playing with real money. But this money adds up and it adds on to the price of that house. You are using real money. It just doesn't seem like it. And if you go way over, you're gonna have comps that are way under what you're paying. And when that appraisal comes in, if it's low, you're probably gonna have to come out of pocket. Now, using easy numbers here, let's just say we've got comps at $1 million and you go into the design center and you price out at $1.3 million. Well, that appraisal is probably gonna come back lower than that 1.3, which means you could be on the hook to come up with that extra cash. But that's really not the end of it, because then when you go to sell, you're waiting for those comps to get to and surpass the value of your home. Otherwise, you're losing money on the back end as well, because it's not always the best to have the biggest, fanciest, nicest house in the neighborhood. Now, I'm not saying don't do any upgrades, because it brings into our next point of being, if you're on a budget and you decide you're gonna build a home, but you're not gonna really do anything, you're gonna do the bare minimum. This can also cost you money in the long run. One thing I've heard a few times are people saying, well, we don't need to have the builder do that because we can do that ourselves, or we can do that later. Now, yes, there are some things that you can do yourself or you could do later. Like if you want to screen in the back porch on your own, yes, that's pretty easy to do relative to other things. But if when it comes down to saying like, we're not going to waste money upgrading the counters, the cabinets, and the floors, that's a lot harder to do after the fact. Now, first off, they've got to take everything out and then bring the new stuff in, but also then you have to live within a construction zone while they're doing that. So if you do have the budget for it, then you might as well upgrade those few things that are much harder, time consuming, and stressful to live during, done by the builder. Now, I can speak to this from experience. My last 2 homes, we have replaced the floors in them, and we had to live in the home during the floors being done with pets and children. And let me tell you, it is not fun, because now you're walking on just the plain slab, or if you're on a crawl space or raised and you've got just wood that you're walking on, it is not fun. Everything's covered in dust. Just have the builder do it, be done, so you can move in. Now, looking at this on the back end, when you go to resell the home, chances are there's probably going to be another home or two in the neighborhood that is more well appointed, that picked more upgrades, that buyers are going to be more attracted to. And they will pay a premium to not have to do that after the fact. So just because you said you were gonna do something after you moved in, you most likely, if you're like me, you're not gonna get to it all. So then buyers are gonna see that and say, well, yeah, we could take this house, but we would need it for a much lower price because it needs new floors and the cabinets are cheap and we hate these countertops. So when you are doing the upgrades, that brings us to our next point, is where do you upgrade? And the first thing you need to know is, I say, concentrate on the kitchen. The kitchen is a natural gathering spot for friends and family. So when you're looking at that kitchen, you really need to think of how you're going to use it. Is it just you cooking? Are there multiple people cooking? Do you need seating at the counters for kids, family members, guests that are coming over? Do you want to be able to see the living room? How big is the pantry? If it's a galley kitchen, is that big enough for more than one people? That answer is always no. Is there a gas cooktop or an electric cooktop? Is there a gas option? Because if there is, most people will only look at homes with gas options. Trust me, I know that's how my wife and my mother-in-law are. Basically, it comes down to this one thing. You need to make sure that this kitchen is functional and you love it. Because if it is functional and you love it, buyers, when they come to look at your house when you go to sell, are going to think it is functional and they are going to love it. Remember, you spend a lot of time there, so you need to make sure it is what you want. Which takes us into something else very important, is you need you need to make sure that your upgrades are concentrated in the spaces you're going to use the most. Now, we already talked about the kitchen, so you need to think about where do you spend your most time. Generally, that's going to be the living room, the master bedroom, and the master bathroom. So especially if you're on a budget and you're trying to figure out where you want to upgrade, don't upgrade the guest bathroom or the powder room, because those are the rooms that you're going to spend the least amount of time in. Concentrate on the areas that you are going to spend time in and people that come to your house are going to see and enjoy as well. So if you are at that design center, you're a little over budget, you really need to ask yourselves, which rooms do we want to prioritize, because we're going to be spending the most time there and enjoying them. And I hate to break it to you, the guest bathroom is not the heart of the home. And so next we need to talk about lighting. Now, most homes come with a base lighting package. I always suggest to upgrade that to the next level or add can lights in. Here's why. Most rooms at basic are going to have either a ceiling fan with a light. They're just going to be pre-wired for a ceiling fan. They're going to have what we call a boob light, which is one of these, and you'll never refer to it as anything else again. Have the option to add those can lights in that room. I highly suggest it. It's going to be much cheaper to just have the builder do it right then, than have someone come in after you move in and retrofit those in, because they're going to have to run all the electrical, tear out a bunch of drywall, and get that done for you. Nobody wants to live in a dark cave, so spend a little money and you can thank me later. All right, I know what you're gonna say about this next point. Well, he's a realtor, of course he's gonna say that. And yeah, I am, but it's true. If you're building a new home, you need representation. I don't care if the realtor is not me. I mean, I hope it is. Just get yourself a realtor that you trust that can help guide you through this process. Here in South Carolina, the builder's agents represent the builder. They have the builder's interests in mind above everyone else's. So don't think that they're gonna take care of you because they're working for the builder. You need someone to work for you. Realtors like myself spend all day doing this, and we can help walk you through the process. Again, it could be from 7 to 12 months if you're building from the ground up. A lot can happen, something might go wrong. You need an advocate there for you to help fix things sometimes before you even know about them. This comes down to negotiating on the price. Yes, some builders will negotiate the price with you and walking you through everything. There's going to be inspections and check-ins and walkthroughs, and do you need a third-party inspection? All of this stuff goes in, and it's one less thing that you should have to worry about. Some people will say, well, if you go straight to the builder, they're gonna give you a better deal. No, they're not. What they're gonna do is they're just gonna make more money off of you than if you have a realtor. So why wouldn't you have representation if you're going to get the same price, or probably even better if we can negotiate it down? Also, you might just need someone to talk you off of a ledge. Building a home can be a roller coaster ride of emotions, from excitement to regret to joy to fear, back to excitement. We are someone to talk to. We can help you figure this all out to make sure that you're making the right decision. So I think this is a great time to say, if you want to work with me, there's a link down below where you can jump right on my calendar, and while you're down in that description, go ahead, click the subscribe button, like this video, and drop me a comment. Now let's keep moving. All right, so this is a big one that a lot of people don't think about, especially if you're coming from a northern city that has basements where we don't have basements, so storage becomes a huge issue. You're really gonna need to look at the floor plan and think of how much storage you're gonna need for all of your stuff. For example, do you have a lot of Christmas decorations, like 47 bins worth of them like my wife? Then you are going to need a place to put those, and we don't have a basement to store them in. And the last thing you wanna do is have to take up your whole garage, or that office space that you really wanted becomes a catch-all room for everything because there's not much space in the attic. You really need to think about this. Some builders are getting a lot better at utilizing some dead spaces. I just had clients build a home that had 2 full walk-in storage rooms upstairs in it, but there's also some that are building not some of that storage. Another option would be to build an elevated home. Now, mind you, these elevated homes, that downstairs drive-under garage is not a conditioned or usually insurable space. It does create some amazing storage, but just know it typically is open to the elements, so you don't want to store too much stuff down there that you wouldn't mind possibly getting ruined a little bit. Okay, we've made it to the end, and again, as I said, this one could save you a ton of money. Now, builders are always usually offering incentives for you to purchase their homes, but there's one catch on this. Typically, you have to use their lender and their preferred closing attorney. Now, when it comes to using their lender, sometimes these deals can sound too good to be true. They might be, or they might not be. So what you need to do is have a trusted lender that you can take that loan estimate to that you get from the builder's lender and have them look it over. They're gonna be able to do one of three things. They're gonna be able to beat it, they're gonna be able to match it, or if they're really trusted, they're gonna tell you to take it and run because it is a deal too good to be true, which is exactly what happened to my cousins who built a home out in West Ashley. Pre-pandemic, the builder was offering an insanely low rate because they were looking to get rid of an inventory home, and no one could touch that rate. My lender told them to just take it and run, and that's what they did. Now, where it could cost you some money is sometimes they're offering a crazy amount of closing costs if you use their lender, but there's really no such thing as free money. So what another trusted lender is going to be able to do is look at it and say, oh, well, yeah, they're giving you $5,000 in closing costs, but your rate is going to be this much higher than the rate I can offer you. So over the course of the loan, you're going to end up paying X amount more. So you need to figure out what's more important to you, having a slightly lower payment for longer or saving that cash right up front. Remember, you are making a huge purchase, so it's always good to get a second opinion to make sure you're getting the best deal. Again, I'm Bill Olson, your favorite YouTubing Charleston realtor, and do you agree or disagree with this list? What would you add differently? I'll see you on the next video right here.